The next station will be Fortuna 69.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. I've been away from Warframe primarily because of, and also because Final Fantasy XIV is a really good game. Please send help. There's a big video I've also been sporadically working on that I was planning to upload on the anniversary of this other thing I made, but I decided otherwise after concluding that it would be better to wait. And honestly, I think waiting paid off, because oh my fucking gosh, can we finally just admit that Warframe has been on a downward spiral for like the last year and counting? This is like the third major update in a row that the community has essentially universally shit on, and the 2000 IQ DE apologists out there have been working overtime looking for ways to deflect all the possible blame from DE and back to the community. Apparently the reason why the game is doing so badly is because myself and the other quote-unquote top elite Warframe partners do nothing but shit on the game all the time, and DE feels compelled to release content to appease us. Completely ignoring the fact that I was one of if not the first partner to suggest the idea that 2020 should focus on fixing the actual underlying game and its current offerings instead of churning out new content like a Chinese sweatshop. The blame of the community is unhappy apparently falls to the people who have been shitting on the game. Yeah, that seems legit. Let's ignore the fact that Railjack was announced during TennoCon as the new and exciting addition to the game that would connect everything together, allowing players to go from playing down on the ground in open-world zones to going into outer space seamlessly like in No Man's Sky, when what we got instead was another fucking individual island of grind, like the other major updates we've received. Let's ignore the fact that Kuvaliches were promised to be a game-changing enemy to the game that would challenge and be the foil to the player for a long-term cycle, intertwining with Railjack itself, when what we got instead was just a super tanky character with one of two different personality types. Let's ignore the fact that essentially the only way to get DE to do something the players want is to either create a large amount of attention that can threaten their reputation and/or revenue, or to just have enough people stop playing that DE magically starts doing stuff we wanted. Let's ignore the fact that lore and story of Warframe gets teased to you in an alluring manner when you start playing, but when you get further into the game practically gets abandoned outside of major quests, each of which are at least a year-long wait. This game has been out for over 6 fucking years and I still have no clue why I should care about the Lotus, or what the actual fuck is the timeline and pacing of this game. Just like No Man's Sky, the game looks and sounds pretty, but diving deeper into the game in terms of story reveals bare bones, missing, or very bite-sized snippets of story that usually have little to nothing to do with the main plotline of the game. Remember when we were told the shield gating wouldn't happen because it didn't make a difference? Remember when the Cyber came out, and DE promised to learn and not make grindy weapons again, and then they made the HEMA which fucking scales with clan rank? Remember when the game didn't have band-aid mods? Remember when the game didn't go out of its way to hype the fucking life out of an update and then move on to something else months after it launched? Remember when Warframe was about being a space ninja and not about farming for resources in his own that has literally no connection to the rest of the game whatsoever? Remember literally any single time DE has said that they don't want to make the game grindy but then turn around and give us events like this shit fuck that demand you do the same thing over and over? Because honestly, I remember, and I look back and ask,
why are we still here? Just to suffer?
The reason why myself and countless other people continue to stick with this game is because we see the potential for what the game could be beneath the surface, and we want to see it happen for real, but seeing DE squander that potential over and over and over is borderline psychological torture. I've said before and I'll keep saying that even though I criticize the ever-loving fuck out of the game, I only do so because I love the game and want to see it do better. I'm fucking tired of watching games with promise that I enjoy playing end up becoming either killed off permanently or nothing more but husks of former glory. I don't care about what DE thinks or says about me, whether it's current or past statements. I don't care about how long a good update takes to come out, because I'm pretty fucking sure we can all agree that the second Dream was the best update Warframe has ever had, and it did so by just taking its fucking time in development instead of intentionally teasing players into getting unreasonably hyped for something that is clearly an unfinished product. Hell, the reason why a lot of content nowadays has time-gated shit in it is because DE knows that whatever content they take a year to make could be completed within days by the community. A lot of people, myself included, want Warframe to go back to how things used to be. If Railjack and Kuvalicious wasn't obvious, DE has a lot of fucking ambition for their game, but they lack the actual ability to execute it, kind of like No Man's Sky. However, the big difference is that No Man's Sky is actually playable now, even though it took years to get there. Warframe on the other hand was, is, and always will be in beta until all of us fucking die, not just because DE knows that what they have on their hands is a cash cow, and the logical thing to do is to milk it until it dries up, but because evolution is literally the backbone of Warframe. Warframe is a game that will always change, for better or worse, because a game with no more updates is a game that is either finished with its story or no longer supported by the developers. It doesn't take a genius to know that Warframe is going to run for as long as humanly possible, not just because it's the main project that DE has under their name, but also because, as we know already, DE has a lot of fucking ambition, one that easily will take years just to share with us. That's all fine and dandy, but ambition doesn't fucking mean anything when the execution of the actual idea is terrible, and if that continues for the next year or so like it has been lately, then Warframe will be nothing more than just wasting potential.
My mama calls, see you on TV, sunset shit done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations. Worked so hard, forgot how to vacation. They ain't never had the dedication. People hate and say we changing, look we made it. Yeah, we made it. They was never friendly, yeah. Now I'm jumping out of Bentley, yeah. And I know I sound dramatic, yeah. But I know I had to have it, yeah. For the money I'm a savage, yeah. I be itching like I had it, yeah. I'm surrounded 20 bad bitches, yeah. But they didn't know me last year, yeah. Everyone wanna act like they important, but all that mean nothing when I shut my door, yeah. Everyone counting on me, drop the ball, yeah. Everything custom like I'm at the bar.